Welcome to the Poultry Doc Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Blayne, board-certified poultry vet and your guide to keeping backyard flocks healthy and thriving. Today we're visiting with Bassam, a thoughtful chicken keeper raising a mixed-age flock. We'll talk respiratory disease, chick care, and how to spot signs of illness early. If you find this helpful, go ahead and peck that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now let's head out to the coop. Welcome to the PoultryDoc.com podcast. This is your host, Dr. Blayne, and joining me today is Bassam. We're at his house. He's going to show us around and tell us some of his experiences with the chickens.
Of course.
So tell me what you got here, Bassam.
So right over here we have the baby chicks in a kennel, and essentially we're waiting for them to be a bit older to integrate them with the pellets, which are the teenage chicks that we have.
Yeah, and you got the pullets from early age too?
Yes, we had them at an early age, and then every now and then when one of us have a day off, we end up getting another chick. So it just keeps kind of building.
And so how old are these that you have in, I guess, quarantine is what you would call it, right?
Yeah, I would say they're about 2 months old.
Okay. Now, have you had any issues with these since you've gotten them?
Well, yeah, the chicks are they're very delicate, so you got to be careful with them. Whenever any of them is sick, you have to separate them into a different quarantine.
What did you notice when you started having issues, or were you perceived to be having issues?
When we would have issues, it was never only one bird. After you lose a bird, really, every time you come out here, you kind of watch them. You know what I mean? To make sure none of them are acting weird. Because if one bird could infect your whole flock.
Oh, sure.
And then you lose everybody.
Yeah.
Which is tough.
What I want to talk about a little bit is infectious bronchitis, and it's one of the diseases that they can have. Yeah. Last time we talked about Mycoplasma. And so a lot of these birds, if you're buying the chicks, like just hatched chicks from like a place like Callahan's, those birds are supplied through a hatchery, actually in Cameron, Texas, it's not very far, called Ideal Poultry. They have a status called MSMG free. So when you buy baby chicks from Ideal, they're not gonna have it because they have that certification. But like if you've already got birds that are here that you may have gotten as older pullets, it's a good chance they probably already have it. Yep. And they have it. Yeah, especially with the respiratory disease that you guys talked about, some of the sniffling going on. Wild birds. Yeah, wild birds can carry any number of things. So Mycoplasma, it's kind of always around. It can cause mortality, but for the most part, it's usually self-limiting and will respond to antibiotics, which means we can knock it down, but we can't just eliminate it, right? Yeah. But what happens is there's another disease called Infectious Bronchitis Virus, and it's in the same family of viruses as like COVID. It's a coronavirus, just like COVID was. Okay. Obviously, it's respiratory as well, too. SARS was also in that same family of viruses, right? So they can get pretty bad. And by itself, bronchitis, infectious bronchitis, isn't a huge issue. There are different types, serotypes is what they're called, so some can be worse than others. But for the most part, they don't cause a lot of mortality unless there's a secondary infection going on with it, like E. coli, or it's complicated by something else. In this case, complicated by Mycoplasma, right? So if you get the two in there, you make that infection even worse. There's not much we can do about the bronchitis because it's a virus, but if it causes like secondary issues, for instance like the Mycoplasma, we could help with antibiotics. So this is a good opportunity too, is where you can like feed them and be up close and like look into their eyes and look at their nose or their beak, right? And they have what we call unaries. And so when they get sick, a lot of times, just like you get a runny nose, you'll wipe it. Birds can't really wipe their nose very effectively. Yeah. So when they're pecking and foraging on the ground, it gets kind of dirty. So you'll see some kind of dirt build up on the nose. Or if their feathers are light enough, you can see that they'll wipe their face on their feathers. And so you'll get some dirt and stuff on their feathers. But yeah, it's a good opportunity to evaluate them close up. No, these look good. Yeah, we've got a few in here that don't look too happy, but
how can you tell?
You see the black one? You see how her head is kind of pushed in and she's just a little bit more roughed up. And that could be just her breed and normal feathering. But her head's a little bit more tucked in. I know she's trying to roost up there too, but that's a little unusual too in the middle of the day to just be kind of hanging out on a limb by herself. You see how their eyes are really bright and they're open and they're wide. Their heads are up high. She makes for a good example. You see how her eyes are kind of almond shaped, I would call it. They're not bright and circular. So just I would keep an eye out. Right?
Okay, I'll definitely keep an eye on her.
Okay, so we talked a little bit today more about respiratory disease, bronchitis in particular, and how it with Mycoplasma, as we talked about last week, can be sort of synergistic and cause more issues. And so it's one of the things I think we were seeing here. So Bassam, I really enjoyed the visit, and thank you so much for letting me let me come out and take a look at the birds. Do you have any questions for me?
No, we had a great conversation. I will definitely be like letting you know if I do have any questions for the future. But as of right now, no. 100%. I'm just more excited for the app. All my questions can go to the app.
It's coming, it's coming. So he's referring to the poultrydoc.com, and there's going to be an associated app with it, and access to veterinary care for those who come visit the site. And so I appreciate the plug. And thanks again to everyone. Like, subscribe, do that thing. This is Blayne Mozeshek, and thanks for joining us.